Good afternoon, all. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this Ask Me Anything webinar this afternoon. My name is Daniel Cairns. I'm the Head of Enrolments here at 4th Rev. We're going to discuss with you this afternoon the Data Analytics Career Accelerator with the London School of Economics. It's the final presentation of the year. We're really looking forward to deep diving into the content, the benefits, the student stories, and anything that you'd like to know about the program. But enabling me to do so is my counterpart in Joshua Ross. Joshua, how are you?
Effervescent, Daniel. Thank you.
Love to hear that you're effervescent. A reminder for everyone that this is about the participants asking questions that are relevant for them. But I really appreciate your time tonight or this afternoon as well, Josh, to frame this as well. Obviously, we work in collaboration with the London School of Economics and are in the process of finalising the final cohort. Josh, how many cohorts have we had this year?
So we've had 3 already, January being the first. We had 35 placements for that globally, and also a March and July cohort who are still both going, but nearing towards the end there. Both of those cohorts had 70 candidates each too, so slowly building.
It's brilliant. Thank you kindly. And I'm sure many of the attendees know Josh or have spoken with Josh already. Some of you may have spoken with myself and the team of enrolment advisors that we have in different parts of the world. But to just dive a little bit deeper into you, Josh, how, I guess, if I can ask a question without notice, if you were to go back in history to any time, when would it be and why?
Okay, good question. I would say sometime in the 80s because the perm was more popular and that suits my natural curls a lot better. So I can't pick an exact year, but I would say the 80s.
You're back, Josh? Thank you.
I'm back.
That's brilliant. And I think that would be not dissimilar to myself going back to a time when I had more brown hair than grey hair. But thank you for that. I'd love to invite the audience to submit your questions, as we do want to get to them as quick as possible. Feel free to pop them in the Q&A box there. And we're also going to ask a question of the audience in a poll. So we'd love to know more about yourself, where you are. Feel free to put that in the chat. But tell us a bit about yourself. So what is your motivation to consider studying the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator? Is it to commence a career in data? Is it to change your existing career to maximise the opportunities of what we term the employment boom in data? Is it to advance your existing career in data analytics? Or to more effectively use data analytics in your current role or field? Obviously, we know through the impact of digital transformation in all facets of business, there are fantastic employment opportunities. There are fantastic opportunities to advance one's career, but also fantastic opportunities to effectively use data analytics in your current role, potentially. We'd love to know that, because that will tie in beautifully with something else that we'll ask about shortly. So we'll give you a moment or two we see the preliminary results coming up. We're looking at 33% commencing, some 50% looking to change, and the others looking to use more effectively data in their current role and field. That's really interesting, as it's somewhat reflective of the student body that we have already and have seen successfully go through and complete the program, of which we'll give you some examples of shortly. But it was interesting, as we do have a fair few experienced data analysts looking to advance their career. So we'll give that a little longer and close that very shortly, enabling people to input their answers if they haven't already, and we'll see if that changes in a moment.
So DC, just if I could jump in quickly, these are the final results now, and looking there and seeing that 50% are individuals that are looking to change career into data analytics. Certainly a conversation that I've had a lot, and with that comes apprehension and fear of the candidate's ability to make that shift. Now, knowing you quite well, Daniel, I know you've had a colourful career thus far, it might be good for you to touch on your pathway, from where you started from to now being the head of enrolments.
Certainly, thank you. And it is, I think, a really, really good thing that you raised, Josh. Changing careers is a life decision, and to invest in one's decision to study and do it right, I think, is the perfect way to go about it. But back when I was about to say back in my day, you can't say that, it sound too old. But I did start off in a completely different field than business. I started off in the hotel environment as a chef. And what's interesting about how life sometimes goes full circle, I had to change careers through injury back in the day. But on my very first day within a hotel environment, I was taught customer service. It was in a hotel. They used data back then to better service customers. So if you were at that hotel and ordered an extra bottle of Coke from room service or an extra pillow from housekeeping, their database kept that information, and the next time you checked in, there was an extra bottle of Coke in your minibar and an extra pillow on the bed. Come full circle then, having changed careers, moved into business and moved into roles mentoring youth, transitioning careers, it was natural for me to then move into higher education some almost 10 years ago, as it was a passion, to again foster those considering a career change, considering investing in themselves to advance their careers, or make that life decision and investment in doing so. So it is not uncommon for everyone, many people, all of us, to have some form of pivot or change of career, and to do that with the power of education either behind you or as you do that is the best way of going about that. And we'll certainly give some examples shortly. But thank you, Josh. Yeah, so from chef to head of enrolments. Yes.
Sorry, DC, there's a slight lag. I just wanted to add to that, that what you touched on is I think still really relevant for people that are making a career shift into data. And a lot of the candidates that we speak to have years of professional experience. The average age thus far is 36 or 37 of the students doing the program. And the apprehension is that if you were to make a move into data analytics, how far of a step do you need to take back? Is it graduate roles you need to go to? Any of the skills that you've developed in your career to date relevant for a career in data analytics? Now, you're not in data, but what you spoke about is some of the core skills and values you developed all the way back as a chef. That's now relevant for what you're doing in higher education. And that certainly will be the case for many candidates here, that you'll have skills that are in demand within the data analytics field.
That's exactly right. That crossover, we all take learnings with us throughout life. And when we look at applying the different learnings that we come across or that we develop throughout one's career, it's important, I think, to also consider education that enables the same thing. An application of learning in a practical sense is so much more valuable than, say, having an examination type assessment. Josh, I guess that's a question I have for you before we open it up to the audience. Why is it, or how is the structure of this program enabling there to be no exams, for example?
Well, we need to take a step back and look how the program's been developed. And the first component of that is LSE, and LSE's involvement being a top 30 university in the world, and leading the design of the program. So when we think of LSE, you can think of the academic rigor, the critical thinking, the problem-solving skills that's synonymous with a university of their caliber. But also for this program, they've consulted with industry to build the content. Specifically for this program, Tableau and GitHub have collaborated on that build. The outcome of that being that what you learn is completely practical in nature rather than just theoretical. So are exams a great example of practical or applied learning? No, generally not. And in that consultation, what we determined and what we see within data is that companies want to see individuals with the correct skills. And to demonstrate that effectively, it's through practical and applied projects that you'll complete in this program.
That's brilliant. And for those possibly unfamiliar with the structure, give us a quick overview of the courses that make up the content, and then the industry project at the end, and then we're going to jump straight into the audience questions.
Certainly. So over the 6 months, you will complete 3 courses that are 6 weeks in length each. At the end of each 6 weeks, there's a project that you will complete. That's an individual project that will then be included in your digital portfolio of evidence. To note on the digital portfolio of evidence, that is really crucial then as you go to apply for roles, or if you need to demonstrate the skills you've obtained within data, that you would lean on that portfolio to highlight then what you know. So 3 courses that align with 3 individual projects. Course 1 is data analytics for business. Course 2 is data analytics using Python. And course 3 is advanced analytics for organizational impact. If we think about the key areas that are covered there, Excel, SQL or SQL, Python, Tableau, GitHub, and R. We certainly have course outlines that we can send to you as well to be able to for you to delve into the content a little bit further. Finally is the employer project at the end. So it's the final 6 weeks of the 6-month program. And it's where you'll apply that learning to a live data set and a unique business challenge from an employer partner of ours. It will be group-based, so small teams of 4 to 6 students. And you'll be looking at solving that challenge and getting to present to that partner at the end, as you would if you were in the workplace. So it's mimicking as close as you'll get to what you would do working within industry and dealing with data. Yeah, we've got a range of examples and projects that we can talk to throughout the next 20 minutes, half an hour as well.
That's fantastic. And I think there will no doubt be questions around the employer project or the examples, but what we have found with that layer of expert or that layer of application of learning in a live sense to industry, it enables candidates, be they applying for roles or be that internally, externally, change of career or otherwise, the power of storytelling in an interview. If you can imagine yourself in an interview to say, or to answer the question, how was your data analytics course at university? It may be a case of traditionally saying it was fantastic. I met some good people and I got 85% on my exam, which is good. But I don't think it's memorable to tell a story in an interview, how you worked collaboratively with other high caliber students, directly with industry, were given a challenge, presented an innovative solution, and this is the potential impact, is a much more powerful demonstration of one's experience and value to that prospective or current employer. We've got, we do want to dive a little deeper into those examples. Josh, we'll wait and see if they come up in the questions, and if they don't, we'll certainly volunteer that information. Time frame. So we have the 4th presentation of the year commencing onboarding on the 10th of October. Just so everyone's clear in answering one of the first questions that's come through, there is a Christmas break, is there not, Josh? So what is the end date of the program?
Yeah, so if candidates were to look to enrol for the upcoming October 10th cohort, that will include 3 weeks of student onboarding. So from the 10th of October till around the 30th of October. Crucial, every candidate needs to be a part of that. It's setting them up with the systems, introducing them into the student community, and most importantly, having a goal session with their success manager and career coach. Before then the first week of content delivery at the end of October. Course 1 will then run from the 30th of October until I believe it's the 12th of December. From the 12th of December until the 9th of January, there's a reflection week, which happens in between each course. And that's combined with a few weeks for the holiday period. You will then return on the 9th of January, and you will then complete the program by the end of May, the last week of May in 2023.
Perfect. Thank you, Connie. Just hopefully toward the end, the employment season, summer in the Northern Hemisphere, we've got a number of questions coming through, Josh, and I'll fire some at yourself and I'll answer some, but I guess we should start at the top. And if everyone can pop them in the Q&A, it will certainly help us filter through them as they come through as well. And Annie also says here, thank you so much for organising the session. What does the foundational quantitative skills entail as outlined in the admission requirements? So just for those that don't know, before you get to that specific answer, Josh, what are the entry criteria for the Career Accelerator? What is the entry criteria?
So there's 3 potential pathways that you have. You can gain entry via previous education, so a minimum of bachelor's degree, and in that degree, if you've completed at least 1 unit of quantitative studies, so anything to do with numbers, mathematics, statistics, research methods, if you've got a range of economic units and that sort of thing, that will certainly contribute as well. If you don't meet that criteria, we can look at then at least 3 years of professional experience where you've dealt with data to some extent. So that can be as basic as using Excel, on a daily basis, dealing with data sets. We see candidates that have no knowledge or prior experience with the programming languages we teach, but have used, for example, Tableau a fair bit, which is a visualization tool. That's an example where you could still gain entry that way. And if you don't meet either of those criteria, there's a 30-minute aptitude test that we can set you up for. Multiple choice, 30 questions in 30 minutes, focused predominantly on mathematics and statistics. So just for us, getting a grasp of your level of confidence and current ability within that space.
Fantastic. I'll move on to the next one, and thank you kindly. I'll try and do this in a sequence that follows the actual structure of the program as well. So if there's any project-based ones, we'll come to them shortly. Go on, Josh.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to that for Annie around quantitative skills. So there's one component is the entry criteria, which we've discussed. If we think about what are the practical skills that you should have prior to starting the program, at a minimum, it's having that level of great confidence with Excel, up to a level of things like pivot tables is recommended. If you've got great experience with Excel but haven't used pivot tables, there are a lot of free online resources you can utilize to polish up on that quite quickly. And otherwise it's that level of confidence with mathematics and statistics, which is covered a bit in course 3. All of the other skills and technologies, there's not a requirement for you to know those. The consideration there is that as you learn these new skills, there might be some additional hours per week to complete the program, but many of our students are like that.
Fantastic. So I've met the entry criteria. I've submitted an application that will go through how to submit a successful application in a moment as well. But someone's asked, what does the project-based portfolio mean in practice? So is that a portfolio of evidence? How can someone use that for their advantage in gaining or succeeding in employment outcomes?
Good question. So the 2 tangible things that you'll receive, just to be clear there, alongside the portfolio is also a certificate of completion awarded by LSE. So you are still able to very clearly demonstrate you've completed a program with a top global university. But industry is changing. It's not about just a piece of paper now to highlight the skills that you have. It's about seeing the actual practical skills that you have that will demonstrate your ability to meet the requirements of a role. So the portfolio of evidence, it's a digital portfolio. Every student leaves with it. Currently, we use Bulb app, and it will house all of the projects that you complete in the program. So if you think about that, an example is a graphic designer or architects, when they study and complete study, one of the things that they're building through the entirety of that is their portfolio. So this is like the data version. If you sit there through an interview or an application process, or if you just need to highlight the skills you now have to your current employer, that's a great example of leaning on those projects to highlight what you know, rather than just showing a piece of paper and making them take your word for it.
That explains it really, really well. Thanks, Josh. And I think just to add a layer to it, it's that application of learning to real world scenarios and practices and business case studies that actually I feel help learning sink in for future application in the real workplace as well. Much, much more than an exam. Often we go through an examination process and we're stressed about it upcoming, we're cramming, we're trying to forget that then for the next one. I feel that this is a much more rewarding learning experience and assessment method through the development of projects and presentations that, as you correctly pointed out, can be used, can be demonstrated and leveraged for one's benefit.
Just on that as well,
please.
quickly, Daniel. If anyone's questioning the relevance of that as well, a quick Google of practical portfolios for data analytics. There's many articles that we can see there discussing this topic. We have hosted a range of webinars as well previously on these areas, filling the data skills gap, people looking to make a career shift, how the data skill set can expand your career. And within those webinars, there will be points of discussion around the relevance of that portfolio of evidence.
I'm going to get to additional questions now, so let's go through some of them, and please keep adding them as anything pops into your mind about what you would like to know. How does this program, Josh, compare to an MSc, a Master's in Data Analytics?
Good question. There is no right or wrong answer here. Everyone's circumstances are different. There's certainly a lot of value to a Master's. There's no doubt. But if we think about just comparing the two and the outcomes and or the value that's provided, a Master's, you will get that formal postgraduate certification. And some roles, maybe that will be important. We're seeing with industry that it may not necessarily be crucial for a lot of the data roles that are looking to be filled, but could be useful for you further down the line of your career. The difference is an MSc will take you a year full-time where you're not working, or 2 years part-time. This program is 6 months. It's designed for people to work a full-time or part-time as they complete it. 8 out of 10 of our current students are doing so. So time is a difference. If we think about the things that you receive, you'll receive a practical portfolio of evidence. You won't receive that in a Master's. And it's also the career outcomes and support that we provide. You will have your own career coach for the full 6 months that are there purely to support you in achieving the goals that you want to achieve. We're seeing many students see these great career outcomes and shift careers, land dream roles. We're seeing career coaches support candidates in progressing in their current career path as well. So the feedback from those students is that the career coaching has been equally as valuable as the content that they've been learning. So a lot of value to that. The employer project as well is a really clear difference, having that industry experience there, and a network of recruiters too, which is more so towards the end of the program or afterwards, but potentially as ongoing opportunities arise within our networks, there's scope to be notified of them too.
That's brilliant. And there are a number of differences. We've designed it also to be that conduit between academia and industry. And I think one other thing is a master's program is really, really rigorous from an academic sense and is developed for that purpose. And there's amazing underpinnings and learnings. The only thing that industry really do require also is that content keeps up with the pace of change of industry, which is really, really challenging in many sense because industry's pace of change is so fast. So this program, collaborative or in collaboration with industry, is constantly under review to look at adding new technologies or platforms or industry insights or trends or whatever it may be that keeps the content live and fresh, and ensure that when graduates enter a workplace with these skills, I would love to hear the stories, and we do hear the stories around employers saying, wow, they taught you this at university, as opposed to often what we hear at the other way around. Let's keep.
And just on that as well, Daniel.
Like yep.
Yeah, because you're exactly right. But also just in terms of the demographic of the student and the profile of the students doing the program, a lot have done bachelor's degrees or even master's, PhDs prior to starting this. So it's also diversifying your educational experience too. It is vastly different to what you experience in a just a pure traditional university qualification. So yeah, that's another key difference too.
Josh, getting through some questions. What are the course schedules for 2023? Would you want me to answer that?
We have 4. Go ahead, Daniel, if you have them.
No,
please do.
No, that's fine. It will be January, April, July, and October next year will be the 4 presentations available. Placements are always capped, given the fact that candidates, learners, customers receive one-to-one support with a success manager who proactively supports you in your learning as opposed to reactively reaches out to you. Given the fact that there's an experienced career coach guiding you through you achieving the best return on your investment possible through the achievement of your goals that you set out at the commencement of the program, and given that there's industry projects at the end, this is not kind of designed for 200 or 300 students at a time. We cap numbers at a level that is enabling us to support you, enabling us to provide you the experience that you deserve, and enabling you to get the greatest return on your investment that you can. We have a question about the projects here, and I'm sure someone might like to know a little bit more about coaching. We'll come to that in a moment, but can we complete the employer project with our current employer, or should it be with an employer LSE works with? So
at this point in time, no, you can't choose to do your own employer project. But very quickly, as soon as you obtain the skills that you learn in those first 3 courses, there's nothing stopping you from doing that project in your workplace, external to what you're assessed on in this program. So as of right now, no, but there's still a lot of value again there if we think about diversifying that experience too, completing a project that's external to your organization. Learnings that you take from that could be most definitely transferable.
That's exactly right. And it's a great question to see the value of applying the learning. And you've just demonstrated how those learning externally can be. And it could be that people choose an NGO style project that we may have available where they work in a corporate world to see the different styles within industry in different sectors and take those learnings from different fields or sectors into their own workplace. And then also there's that collaboration piece with other students, as we've pointed out. It's great that we can design such amazing projects with industry partners and potentially have impact through that. Josh, I think it might be of benefit. Can you demonstrate or provide an overview of a recent project that a cohort may have completed?
Sure. And just on that point as well, Daniel, a lot of the technical skills, all of the technical skills that you learn in the program are designed to be transferable. So that employer project, the outcomes that you're delivering, yes, are not for your employer, but it would give you great confidence then that the skills you've implemented to complete that program is something that you could do the very next day, or when it becomes relevant in your workplace too. Now, in terms of projects, there are many that we can't discuss, but there's a few that we can mention. I've got 2 or 3. So just at a very high level, ThoughtWorks is one of our ongoing project partners who's a global software and consulting partner. Some of the teams worked on a project with Transport for London and their strategy that by 2041, 80% of all travel will be made on either foot, bicycle or public transport in London. So the teams are working on a data-driven approach there to achieving that vision. A really topical one, and there was a really high demand for that project. Alongside that, we had another one that was with ThoughtWorks and the Anita Borg Institute, and looking at how we can increase the uptake and engagement of STEM subjects for women and other underrepresented gender minorities too, Literally before this call, I was reading an article about this. So again, a really super topical one, and aligns with the fact that, and DC, you'd have the most recent data, but it's a 50-50 split of male to female thus far in the program, which is higher most certainly than the industry average.
Yeah, you're right, Josh. Good point. And we're really, really proud of that. And we've certainly had that intent from the outset, although we've we have exceeded our expectations there. But I think that's also reflective of the desire of industry to also employ, promote, and invest in the upskilling of women in tech, and in particularly data analytics as well. We've got some other ones. Yes, Annie, someone has to go. They want your contact details. We'll certainly be in touch regarding that. We most appreciate it. And is there contact with the coach only during the duration of the course, or is there extended contact with the coach?
Sorry, DC, could you repeat the beginning of that? I just missed it.
Yes, Rachel's asked the question, do you have access to work with a coach only during the duration of the course?
So that can be personalised, and it's dependent, Rachel, on the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. Everyone will engage with their career coach during onboarding through their first goal setting session. But Rachel, if you were, say, someone that, and this is deemed on the fact that it's realistic for you, that you were looking to see some career outcomes or a career shift prior to actually completing the program, we could front load the career support to help you achieve that. And we've seen current students do that, make a career shift halfway through the program because their circumstances allow them to do so. The flip side is that, say, for a lot of the students where maybe they'll be looking at the career outcomes towards the end and afterwards, then there might be a middle period of the program where you're so focused on the content that we pull back on the career support, and then you can access that towards the end and post-completion as well. So yeah, we'll facilitate what we can for you to help you achieve that goal, most definitely.
Rachel's also asked, is there the possibility of extending the length of the program given the intensity of the course? I'm happy to answer that, and it's with the supports that you receive, and it's Rachel again, thank you for your engagement, Rachel. It's challenging and it can't be extended past the nominated due dates. There are some assignment extensions and things available throughout the three courses, but when you're working collaboratively as the last piece of the puzzle in a live industry or employer-facing project with other students, it's to a timeline. It's like industry. We've made it as real as possible for that exact reason, where there are deadlines for the project, there are tasks to complete. The teams do meet regularly. They'll meet also with the employer at the request for service stage throughout if they have some questions, and then obviously present their recommendations in a consultancy style presentation that all works to a timeline. And for that reason, it is not possible to extend past those dates, although you'll certainly obtain every support that you need throughout the program to achieve that, achieve your intended learning outcomes and progress accordingly.
Just on that too, JC, just for everyone, the average recommended study per week that you'll need to give yourself the best opportunity to complete the program is around that 20 hours. And the flexibility comes in the sense that you can log in and access your content anytime each week around your other commitments. The goal there meeting the deadlines for your projects. And then alongside that, there's a 2-hourly live session each week that will be outside of standard working hours. So at the moment, it's Thursdays at say 6 or 7 p.m. And so if you can log in and attend that, fantastic. Definitely encouraged to do so, but they will be recorded for you as well. So accessible content anytime, a weekly live session with a facilitator, and then you structure the rest to meet the deadlines for your projects.
That's brilliant. And it is obviously a commitment. There are sacrifices required, but hopefully through this and other events that we've held, other conversations you've had potentially with your enrolment advisor, it is a 6-month commitment, and the sacrifices made during that time enable a lifelong outcome of either a change of career, a progression of career. And I think success, if it is your next move or every move after that with the coaching and the life skills obtained. We would love to have a 12-month option. We, on feedback, are looking to hopefully develop that down the track, but we only have the 6-month option available at the moment for that rapid career impact. Just going through some of the other questions, and there's a number of attendees that weren't here at the very, very commencement of the webinar. Josh, I might open up, if possible, the poll once again to see if it's changed at all. Our audience, we did ask, the motivation to consider studying. Is it to commence? Is it to change? Is it to advance? Or is it to more effectively use data in my current role? If everyone can just jump in and submit your answer to that with attendees coming through all the time, we'll certainly see if there's been a change in the data, funnily enough. Joshua, anything else before we start looking at that? There's some other questions that we'll get to in a moment. Anything else you'd like to touch on about applications, closing dates and criteria, or you've already touched on criteria?
Yeah.
I know the personal statement is a part of that. What's the closing date, and what do people need to submit?
Yeah. So on top of providing proof of you meeting the previous entry criteria that I mentioned, really the deciding factor will be on that 500-word personal statement. You'll cover 4 key points, which we can provide for you via email, but it's firstly delving into who you are as a person, your motivations to study, how you feel the program can help you achieve your goals, and how you'll incorporate the 20 hours, for example, into your routine. Alongside that, definitely recommend it. It's a requirement that you speak to a enrolment advisor. And then it's a combination of the conversation with the enrolment advisor and the quality of your personal statement that will allow you to differentiate yourself from other eligible candidates. I did want to just also step back quickly, Daniel, just finally on the time commitment. And, we love to follow the progress of students once they're in the program. And it's been a surprise for me, some of the students that indicated that time would be the biggest challenge for them, high demand roles, family, a whole range of things, to hear that they're actually managing it really well. And it comes down to there as well, time management skills, things that you take for granted. But if you've had high demand jobs or you juggle multiple commitments in your life, those skills that you'll have will put you in good stead to manage this over that 6-month period as well.
Fantastic. We're going to look at the results of the poll very quickly before we move on to the final stages of application and so forth. There is a change somewhat. There are now many more looking to change in advance. It's actually really, really even, the data between commencing, advancing and effectively using, but changing still 50% of the audience. We much appreciate your input into that, and it's great to know there's such a diverse range of people interested, realising the value and understanding the opportunities that a career advancement or change can provide. Applications are closing soon, Josh. How can people apply?
Yes, applications are closing on the 26th of September, which is Monday. Scope there, if you can organise a call or a discussion for us between now and then, if you can highlight a really significant intention to complete the application, there might be some leeway there of a few days to allow you to actually submit that. Best thing would be to book a time, or if you've already spoken to us, reach out via email, and we can send you that application link and what you need to provide to apply if you do not have it already.
Wonderful. Thank you kindly. We've got one final question that has come through. When is the next intake? That's the 10th of October, and the one following that will be the 30th of January. And is the employer project personal? We develop the projects with industry, so you'll be assigned a project or go through a process of choosing a project and be grouped with other high caliber students according to your interests, intended outcome, geography, and experience level. So we have a very, very strong process of selecting and administering the project teams. So they are directly with an employer partner of 4th Revs and LSEs rather than it being a personal project. I'll just double check here if there's any others we've missed. I think we want to finish on a real story from, and there's many, but Joshua, I think if you can relay a story from someone that's finished the program already, as they have recently, to end on that note might be really, really good and a top tip before we say cheerio and thank you.
Certainly, yes. We've got a few success stories. So again, something that we can take offline for each individual. The one that gets me, or the one that I followed closely, is a candidate of mine, Tez, who started in the first intake. And Ted works for the Red Cross, and what he's looking to do, or what he's already doing, is using exploratory data analysis in the Libya and African conflict zones, and looking at the correlation of health products to events that are occurring within Africa. So the intention there is to identify when these events will actually occur before they do, and then deliver health products and medical supplies before it occurs to hopefully save more lives.
So that's amazing. So using data, he's predicting the patterns of conflicts, and then delivering medical supplies to those areas before they need them, as you said, in the hope of saving and saving lives. That is a powerful application of skills learned during the Career Accelerator, but a humanitarian cause that I find amazingly inspirational. Thank you, Joshua. I'm sure many of the attendees, as I said previously, have spoken with you and value your consultative approach in them arriving at a decision. It's not sell from your good self. It's an understanding of one's circumstances and aligning value. I think if we can finish on a note of take the plunge in terms of booking a time to speak with someone that's going to guide you through that process, understand deeply the value and hold it up in comparison with the other programs that you are looking at, and reach out to myself, Josh, and the entire enrolments team at 4th Rev to understand that value and to hopefully make a life decision to invest in yourself, because it will be a very, very wise one. There is a link in the chat to book a time with either your existing enrolment advisor or be assigned one. So I encourage everyone to do that, to book a time. And then who knows, you could end up saving lives like Joshua's learner does in TED. Last tip, Josh, we're right on time. Anything else you'd like to add? But for me, it's thank you and farewell.
No, I really enjoyed it. I hope we can do this again, and I look forward to speaking to you all offline afterwards.
Thank you. And if anyone has any feedback, please feel free to provide that. We're always looking at ways in which we can add value to your experience with us here at 4th Rev. Thank you kindly and have a lovely day.